For today's lesson, we are going to look at how does the Earth's orbit affect the seasons. We are going to look at words like sun, rotate, axis, so on and so forth, and how each of these concepts affect the seasons, the autumn, the spring, the summer, and the winter. The sun, the most important part, the most important thing in our solar system. Without the sun, we would actually cease to exist. The star at the center of our solar system, that is the sun, the earth, and all the other planets moves along a path around the sun, and we call that the orbit, and we will discuss that further as we continue. Rotate. To spin on an axis, we experience day and night because of this movement. It takes the Earth 24 hours to rotate one time on its axis, and the rotation, as I said earlier, results in day and night. And if you look at this diagram, you realize that there's a tilt which will result in sometimes having longer days than night and sometimes having longer nights than days depending on where you are on the Earth's surface. Axis, an invisible line that passes through Earth's center and its north and south poles. And if you look closely at this diagram, you'll realize that there is a tilt of Earth on its axis. This tilt will help to bring about longer days and shorter night at some instances, and some other instances longer nights and shorter days depending on where you are. And the tilt also affects our seasons. Revolve. To travel in a closed path. The Earth moves along a path around the Sun, and we commonly call this revolution. One complete trip around this path around the Sun is known as a revolution. And if you look closely at the diagram, you will see where the arrows are pointing in one direction going around the Sun. This is what we call the revolution. Orbit. The path the planets take in space as it revolves around another. Now, if you look at this diagram, you will see arrows again pointing, going around the Sun. That is the path on which Earth travels. That is called its orbit, and each planet has one. Now, while Earth is going around the Sun, which is a revolution, it is actually spinning on its axis, which is the rotation. The rotation, as I said earlier, results in day and night, and the revolution results in a year. So you realize that throughout the year, you will actually have day and night going on and on until the year ends. The equator. This is an imaginary line that goes around the middle of the Earth. It measures 0 degrees and is sometimes called the Great Circle. It separates the Earth into two hemispheres, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. It also have an impact on our seasons. For example, in the northern hemisphere, in some countries you might have winter, while in the southern hemisphere, at the same time, you will have summer. And sometimes in the northern hemisphere, while you're having autumn, in the southern hemisphere, you will have spring, and vice versa, depending on the time of the year. Now, using the vocabulary words that were discussed earlier, answer the following 8 questions about these concepts. and they are rather easy. So just take your time, look at them closely, and see how best you can actually fit in these words where they are appropriate.